homosexuality. Should gays be allowed to marry?
Sure.
The state says we believe in this?
Sure, they can do whatever they want, and they can call it whatever they want, just so they don't expect to impose their relationship on somebody else. They can't make me personally accept what they do, but they can, gay couples can do whatever they want. Matter of fact,
should gays be allowed to marry?
Sure. I don't think it's a state function. I think it's a religious function. And there was a time when only churches dealt with, marriage, and they determined what it was.
I believe in federalism. It's better that we allow these things to be left in the state. My personal belief is that marriage is a religious ceremony, and it should be dealt with religiously. The state really shouldn't be involved. The state, both federal and state-wise, got involved mostly for health reasons 100 years or so ago. But this should be a religious matter. All voluntary associations, whether they're economic or social, should be protected by the law. But to amend the Constitution is totally unnecessary to define something that's already in the dictionary. We do know what marriage is all about. Say that the church should make this decision. That's the most important place to determine marriage. When you think about in the Old Testament, when the God that led the people out of Egypt,
government should be out of it, is a perfectly good answer for 90% of the questions you will ever be presented with. It is not a good answer to, what do you think of gay marriage? Oh, we should just get government out of the business of marriage. No, I'm sorry, marriage has consequences. Who gets to adopt? Who pays alimony? Who inherits? Some of this can be dealt with by private contract, but some of it can't. How do you get the blood test done? What, your tennis coach is going to marry you?
But the Paul campaign was thrilled to get Reverend Kaiser's endorsement, putting on their website, saying in a press release on Paul's website, "We welcome Reverend Kaiser's endorsement and the enlightening statements he makes on how Ron Paul's approach to government is consistent with Christian beliefs." The Ed Show, the Ron Paul campaign has landed the endorsement of a reverend whose beliefs are absolutely jaw-dropping. The Reverend Philip G. Kaiser thinks homosexuals should be executed. It turns out Reverend Kaiser is in favor of what he calls biblical law, including the execution of homosexuals. He has written about it. As we have seen, he says, while many homosexuals would be executed, the threat of capital punishment can be restorative. Kaiser confirmed all of this when contacted and interviewed by Talking Points Memo. He said he didn't see much hope for it happening anytime soon. But he did say, under a Ron Paul presidency, states would be freed up to not have political correctness imposed on them. Extremists look tame by comparison. What do you make of this, and is this damaging?
Well, I think that this is typical Ron Paul. You know, we've seen him kind of disavow things he said in the past, and he likes to work this kind of what he wants to market as a kind of libertarianism, but this is, you see, is the end result. He wants to free up states to be able to do things like this Reverend wants. So it's no surprise that he touted his endorsement, and then with the sheer insanity of such statements, I think that the pressure came that he had to get it down.
Do you think that the Paul camp just didn't vet the Reverend very well, and maybe they didn't know he had said that?
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't be so convinced totally. I mean, there is the chance that they didn't do the proper work. We've seen them falter time and time again, but we've seen him make these statements and then kind of backtrack time and time again. So I think that there might actually be a strategy out there in which he throws out this kind of incendiary stuff because he knows it fires up that base. But in reality, what happens is he pretends that it's this whole libertarian kind of thing, but what he wants to do is just take those rights and the civil rights that have been afforded and throw it back to state control. For example, Lawrence v. Texas is a great example. He wants the state of Texas to basically make being gay illegal if they want to, and we hope that there's a higher court, the Supreme Court, that'll stop that from happening under a Ron Paul presidency.
Is when people get charged, they usually have a clip. They never have a clip of somebody saying something, a slip of the tongue or something, and then they're blasted, the kingdom come.
Queer to the blazes, guys. Queer, guys. Queer to the blazes, guys. Queer to the blazes. He's queer as crazy. He's queer as crazy, guys. Queer to the blazes, guys. Queer to the blazes. He's queer as crazy.